Hi everybody. Okay, I want to give a quick demonstration showing 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective when it comes to text. Okay, so before I go through that, I just want to preface this by saying, remember that for this project, you can choose 1-point perspective or 2-point perspective, whichever one comes easier to you. Remember that your background can be anything you want. So in this video, I might be kind of talking about this being a landscape or something because we naturally think of a horizon line being on a landscape, but your background can be anything you want, even if it's some cartoon characters around the text, or if it's a bunch of interesting Zentangle type patterns, or if it's like your face and you're eating this word, or whatever you want. Remember, you can be creative and think of something funky and different, just as long as it looks like you put some good time into it and it has good craftsmanship. So let's talk 1-point perspective. So I'm going to do a word underneath the vanishing or underneath the horizon line. If it's on a landscape and it's overlapping the horizon line, that can look really cool because it's kind of like our buildings where it looks like it's planted on the ground but rising above our eye level. If it's up in the sky, or if it's up here, it'll look like it's kind of up in the sky, like you can see the bottom of the word. And then if it's down here on the ground plane, then it'll kind of look like we're kind of flying up in the air a little bit, or it's really short and we're seeing the top of it, right? So when it comes to doing text, I'm going to do one down here just because I feel like that is what is going to fit right now on my page. So first thing you want to do is start with a box. Okay, just like how we did with our buildings. And the reason why you want to start with a box is because it'll keep it so that your letters are parallel and about the same size as each other. Please use a pencil when you're doing this. I just realized I'm using a marker. Don't use a marker very first time around. Use a pencil. You know, when you're writing out your letters, start with even just, instead of thinking of them as block letters in the beginning, think of them as just normal letters, like just normal script like you're writing. And that way you know that it'll fit inside of the box that you've chosen. Okay, so I'm gonna do ART, even though I know you have to pick a word that's 5 letters or more. This will just make it a little quicker. So, and I'm using my marker again, so I'm just gonna kind of freehand it. Please don't do this on your own, but let's just say I, you know, had that already drawn with a pencil, and now I'm just trying to fit it in, or trying to finalize it, basically. A-R-T. Okay, notice that my letters are touching the top and bottom of my box. This will make it so it doesn't like get smaller on accident or something, which happens to me all the time if I don't plan things out, okay? At this point, then you could probably erase that box. It just helps you get it nice and even, okay? Then what I like to do is, with my pencil, not with your marker, create another little line right above, depending on how thick you want your letters to be. Just something like that. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. So depending on how thick you want like this part of your letter to be that's going back in space. So then I'm just going to start with the letter. Usually I like to start with the one that's closest to the vanishing point, and I'm going to look for, just like with our buildings, the sides of the letter or the corners of the letter that are that would go to the vanishing point, right? So if I was to pick like this corner and this corner, they, if I was to create a line, would be going through the letter, right? Right there and right there, and this one down here too, right? In order to get to that vanishing point on the right side of it. So I would not draw lines from those sides. This one would have space, right? This one too. This one would too, even though it'd be thin. This one would be going through the letter, and this one would have space, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 corners of this letter that I'm going to bring to the vanishing point. Now, the reason why I drew this line here is because you technically could just stop at that line if you want to, but I'm not going to do that right now, just to show you this example. Going towards the vanishing point. My marker is kind of fat, so a little bit of a harder time doing this. This one's just gonna probably sort of overlap the other lines a little, but it's okay. Okay, so there we go. We have it kind of going back in space. And then what I like to do is on that line that I made before, that's where I like to end this very first one right there. So then this line would be gone, and so would this one actually. And then just like our buildings, this wouldn't continue to go this way on that line. Instead, it would become parallel to this part of the T. Okay, so this little gap section here, I would take that spot, I would basically follow this dot back, and then on that dot, I would make it parallel to this one. So I'm not gonna use my ruler right now just to show you. But do you see how now it looks like you see the end of that T? Sorry if you can't see it that well. But there is the end of that T going vertically, okay? And then same down here, this part of the letter, this side of the letter is the side that's going back. So we also need to end that one too. So I usually just try to make it about the same distance as that over here. So I'll just kind of maybe guess for now, which is fine, but just like that. Hopefully you guys can see how that looks like the letter's ending. Maybe I have to kind of squint at it a little bit. If you have a letter though that is curved, it's the same idea basically, but you have to be a little bit more careful. Again, sorry, I'm gonna do this side of the letter, right? There's no corner here, so I'm just gonna go all over here. This side I would do too, basically, but you'll see in a second. Then I'm gonna do this side, this corner. I'm not gonna do this one because it would go through the R. I'm gonna do this one. I'm not gonna do this one because it would go through the R, right? And so I'm just gonna take those corners. I'm gonna stop this time at that line. This one goes through the T, so I'm actually gonna stop at the T. Like that. This one, I'll also stop at the T. Like that. And then this one, I would stop at this leg of the R right here, okay? So there we have that. And then at this spot where that line hits, or where this converging line hits this line here, you just wanna try to imitate this curve. Like that. Do you see how it kind of is just the same type of curve? Probably would end right there. And then right there where that ends, I would also just bring another line going this way. So it's imitating this angle right here. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then same with the A. I'm not gonna show you right now. Hopefully you guys get the point. This one here is too short. We wouldn't see the end of this one, so we just end it like that. That's all it is. And same with the inside of the R. So if you were to shade this in, you know, you would shade in all of this. And if you wanted to, you could even shade it in so that it's like maybe the sun is coming from the top, and you would shade it in so it like starts to get a little bit lighter or something as it goes up. Not the best example, I know, but something like that, so it kind of looks like it's getting lighter as it goes up. Yeah, and so same with the T. I'm just going to show you really quick so that you guys get my point. So maybe the light was hitting here a little bit, but then here the light was really hitting. Okay, anyway, hope that was a good example. Let me show you 2-point perspective. 2-point perspective, let's do it so that it is on the horizon line, okay? I think it'll be kind of cool for you to see. So when it comes to 2-point, your word or your letter your word is going to be going back in space towards one vanishing point, while the 3D part of it is going to be going back in space to the other vanishing point. So it'll look like the word is like tilted in space a little bit. So let's just do it like this. So basically, first thing you want to do is create 2 converging lines, okay? So you can pick the width or the height of them or whatever you want. And this is very similar to making this box to start with, right? Because this box, or the ART, is facing us, and this time it's not going to be facing us, right? It's going to be facing this way a little bit. So then I'm just going to make sure my ART fits within this box, and I could even make it an actual box if I wanted to, like that, right? I'm going to make it fit in this box. Again, when you're doing yours, use a pencil first. I hope I make this fit. And if you really want to try being good at this, then letters that are kind of further like over here, this one would actually be even like thinner than this one and this one. It would be kind of more slanted, more narrow, all those things. But I'm just kind of doing this quickly. Hopefully you can kind of get the point of how now it looks like it's kind of slanting that way, and it's going to look more so that way once I do this other part of it. So once I have my words and I can erase my box now if I want to, then I just figure out which corners are facing that vanishing point, right? So not this one of the T, right, because it goes through the letter. This one would, this one would, this one would, this one would, this one would go through the T, this one would. Okay, this one would go through the T. So I'm going to take all of those areas and I'm just going to connect them to the vanishing point. I'm going to stop at the T that time, okay, because it's going to be getting blocked by all this, okay? So then I just want to create the end of these letters. So depending on how far I want it to be, let's just say I want the end of this T to be here. And this is a good place to start because it's just a vertical line. That's always where I like to start, is a vertical line. So I'm just going to do one right there. And then I need to do this one right here. But this line is basically what you want to do is end it so that it's also converging. So instead of making it just a normal parallel line to that, I usually like to make it converging so that it's going like this. Okay, so even though, and basically it is practically parallel, but I hope that makes sense that I decided to just end this right there. Okay, and then I just want to make this next line parallel to this one here too. And that kind of became the end of my box. Do you guys see how that T ends there? So this is the bottom of that part of the T. This is the side, and this is the side too. Hope you guys can see how it formed. Same with the R as below. I'm gonna connect this side. I'm gonna connect right here. I'm gonna connect right here, all going to the vanishing point and right here, but I'm not gonna go through the leg of the R, okay? And then this side would basically, I'm just picking about the same width as this one, would be right there because this is parallel to that. And then this, as long as we make this angle parallel, I mean, you know, the line pretty parallel to that, then we're good. And we can do it the same with the A, but hopefully that's enough for you guys to see how it works. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. You know, feel free to go on YouTube and look up other tutorials too. There's probably like 100 of them, more than 100 of other people showing you how to do 1 and 2 point perspective with text. But yes, I hope that was helpful. And yeah, have fun with this last project.